Jake, welcome again, mate.
Thanks, mate. It's always good getting on a chat and nice early morning chat with you, Terry. So, yeah, it's a big game on Thursday. Could be a grand final preview. Who knows? But getting a bit ahead of ourselves there. But it's good to just have footy back and to talk about a game too is going to be awesome.
100%. I mean, we're in the. I mean, some may say that, end of February, start of March is the hard part. I disagree. I think December, January is the hard part because there's not much really going on, but you know that you miss the footy, and the footy is the heartbeat of Melbourne in many respects. And I think, if anything, Melbourne and Victoria and maybe even Australia needs the footy just to give it a bit of a kickstart. So to have an actual, practice match against another club and to see what we're doing and what you guys are doing, I think is super exciting. Now, I guess my first question for you, and you might have the same one for me, is what's going on in the St Kilda preseason? What's the narrative, the high level narrative?
Yeah, well, I mean, easy to talk about this year, but it kind of relates to last year and what we did wrong, and it's basically a complete flip on that. I don't know how much the Carlton fans know about our preseason last year, probably not much, but it was very much driven by kind of just focus on the game plan and the rest will take care of itself. And we didn't do too much actual fitness work. We didn't get our fitness levels to the right level. And that's why you found, we try and execute a game plan, but we weren't even running two ways in the first 10 weeks last year. So that's why we got blasted by Essendon. We lost to Richmond, to Melbourne. We just looked slow. We couldn't execute any game plan because we didn't have the legs. And we've got a new head of fitness, Nick Walsh, who's come in. He was from GWS, I think, and he did some really good work there. And he's basically, from the training sessions that I've been to and watched, he's been the only one in charge. Rats is kind of just sitting on the sidelines, and it's Nick Walsh getting the boys to do, like when I was there, it was, a good 16K session plus actual game plan stuff, simulation, kicking, marking, tackling. So it was a good blend, whereas last year was very much, from what I saw, not much running, gut running, match simulation. Was very much just kicking and uncontested stuff. And that's, good to a point. But when you get to the real games, as we found, we couldn't handle the heat because we didn't practice in that sort of area. And this year we're doing that. So I'm hoping from round one this time we'll be a bit more prepared.
That's a really interesting point. And that's, I guess, exactly why we're having this chat, because that's something I would never have assumed from the outside looking in. My perception of the Saints is obviously the year before you play finals, and you played finals with this Brett Ratton style, attacking, exciting. Pretty jealous, if I'm honest, to see the way you guys were playing in that year you made the finals. And I'd never really thought of your fitness as being an issue. It just seemed that things were clicking. You're in the right place, right time. You're quick, dynamic. And then I don't know, I guess fitness is the thing you've identified as what really was one of the breakdowns for you last year. So is the confidence within the St Kilda side of things, is the confidence in that, all right, if we fix up our fitness, we've got confidence in our game style, and then once the two marry up, we're good to go?
I think so. It was hard to judge us last year because we only played probably 6 games where we were kind of resembling the team of 2020. Even Butler wasn't the same. Hill had a slow start. We had injuries too, but I don't want to use that as an excuse anymore. If anything, I think that's a bit of a blessing because guys like Burns, Connolly, we got Sharman in mid-season draft, which was amazing, and he was very good in the intra-club the other day, and he looks like he's put on size. And then getting our academy boys, I think in a way it's created that battle for spots now where the midfield's looking pretty tough to pick. Seb Ross is probably looking over his shoulder thinking Ryan Burns is doing pretty well, and he is, so I would not be surprised if Seb Ross is on the edge round 1, round 2, which is a big change. And I guess people forget 2020, it was a shorter game too, so fitness-wise, you mention it, it's shorter quarters. And we always kicked early goals and usually kind of almost coughed up some games in that season towards the end. And that was because we just got tired. But when there's full 30-minute quarters, you can't really hide from that. And we tried to play the same way. and it only took until the bye where we really shifted it and then got going. But yeah, I think fitness is definitely priority, and then game plan, we're going to have some changes. Like Billings is going to play more forward. Gresham's going to start forward with Butler and Higgins and King and Membry. So there's going to be serious small power there. But yeah, one intra-club in, so it's pretty hard to tell what sort of shift in the game plan we're working with at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough. That's actually a really dynamic forward line you've listed there. Look, I've got a couple of favourite players from the Saints. Like I love that boy up the top here, Jack Steele.
Steely in your Supercoach team. I saw that.
Yes, he is. Do not say a bad word about Jack Steele ever, because he's just goes about it the right way. He's done the apprenticeship, as a tagger, and now he's been let loose. I had to listen. I haven't finished it yet at the time of filming this, but I had to listen to his interview with Dill Buckley for about 15 minutes. Big fan of what he's about. I guess from your point of view, I won't be able to answer this question, but you will. Like, who are your, let's say, top 3 to 5 most important players in terms of if you lost them, it'd be so hard to replace them?
Yeah. Obviously, Steele would be one. You could put Rowan Marshall and Paddy Ryder in the same category. They're both equally important, but Rowe's very important.
Yeah.
Dougal Howard being our main fullback. We've only really got Dara Joyce. And then on top of that, who else would there be? It'd be probably someone like, I think Higgins is pretty important. He's our best small. For us, I'm sick of talking about injuries, so I just want everyone to play so I don't have to worry about picking favourites. But those 3 or 4 would be the best. And even Kel Wilkie, because he's always good at playing that medium-sized forward, and he takes them on really well. But if he has to, he goes on the bigs, and if he has to again, he goes on the smalls. So there's not many defenders in our squad that are as versatile as him.
Yep.
And lastly, someone like Jimmy Webster or Ben Patton. It's mainly backline players because that's where we struggle to get the depth. Anywhere where there's a lack of depth, that's generally where your most important players are, because you can't afford to lose them.
Yep.
Forward and mids, we're getting some luck with injuries so far. So there is, you can replace a few players, but Dukes and Wilkie would be up there as well.
Okay. What is your perception of the Carlton Football Club outside looking in? Obviously, Zach Teague, Hayavos, etc. What's the sentiment? You feel free to be as honest as possible. We're into a new era where honesty is the policy, and we're here to take accountability. So, what's the perception?
Look, I don't know. I think the perception from my end is very much dictated by the ridiculous media, and I don't know if internally you guys are the same. Where it's like, just let us get our players in. We haven't even played yet. Everyone's talking up finals. Let us just play. And I was like that in end of 2019, where we got Brad Hill, Jonesy, Dukes, Butler. We got all these players in, and everyone's like, they're just going to go straight up the ladder. We didn't know. And then we lose the first game to North when we're up by 5 goals, and it looks like we haven't improved at all. And it was all because of the media perception. Then they jump on your back when you lose one game. So it's my perception at the moment is from the media, and I think it's a bit silly to think Carlton are just going to play, like make top 8 just like that. It's not that easy. Other teams have to drop out for our teams to make it. We didn't make it either. So we need to have teams dropping out. We need to improve and win games against some good teams that we didn't last year. So if the players you bring in have bridged that much of a gap, sure. But like my angle on Carlton is I don't mind Carlton. I just don't like how easily the media jump on the bandwagon. Because for a Saints fan, we don't really get the media jumping on our bandwagon even when we're winning. So it's like you draft one player, you get Cherry in, and then you're the darlings of the AFL. So it's just like, cool, good player. They did a few nice things. Good coach, good squad, got a lot of talent there. I know that. Probably more A-graders than us, absolutely. But, like I always say, haven't yet put it together. So I'm not going to say you're going to make finals yet. I have to see how you go on Thursday and beyond that. But from outside looking in, I think you got the squad, but yeah, that's as far as you can go at the moment. I don't know if you're the same and you're like optimistic about making finals? You would be, but you're not going to lock it in at the moment.
I mean,
or is he locking it in?
Well, I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm confident because if you watch, the interesting thing about Carlton fan media is it's now a genuine thing. We have got, I don't know how it is on the St Kilda side of things, but we have got, man, I'm not even kidding. We probably have like 16 to 17 different podcasts run by fans. I'm not even kidding. So I sense, from my point of view, you've got the mainstream media who use the club and the monogram because it's such a rich, proud, historical club. And they use that because it creates excitement, buzz, energy. If it's a negative piece about the Carlton Football Club, everyone's going to want to read it because they love it. If it's a positive piece, well, you know the Carlton fans are going to be there in their droves to read it. So I think the mainstream media are about to face a very interesting battle because if you watch the fan-made content, it's totally different to what the mainstream say. Like I'm fed up. I've had enough of what we've been dishing out for the last couple of years. It's not good enough. Like last year was not good enough. Everyone within the club would feel the same. That's why we did an external review. That's why we hired a new coaching group, and that's why we've done what we've done. So am I confident that we're going to play finals this year? No, I'm not confident because what's there to be confident of? We haven't done it yet. Am I hopeful? Like, does it make sense to me logically that, 7 years into the rebuild, these players are now old enough and mature enough to take that next step? Yeah, in theory, in my mind, it makes sense, but it doesn't work like that in reality until you do it. And so I've probably been guilty in the past of selling the dream and like drinking the Kool-Aid and just thinking, oh, all right, well, we did the rebuild, so it's going to come good.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to me because maybe you can put me into line. I feel like we have the best young spine in the league with Wiedering, Walsh, Harry Mackay, and you sprinkle in Cripps there. I think that the four of them I just think if it's not the best young spine in the league, it's one of. And, all these beautiful names and, all Australian players that are in there doesn't mean much. And I think you guys are a really good example of why not having 9 or 10 A graders is necessarily the be all and end all, because you definitely play a team game. You've got a lot of players on your list that I don't really know about, if I'm honest, but you play a role.
Yeah, I love it. It gets tiring when I hear people. It's like, Saints could make top 8, but they've only got Jack Steele. It's like, it's not Jack Steele versus the team. It's 22 on 22. It's the whole club against another club, It gets tiring. And like even the was it the champion data stuff that came out last week? I think Carlton had maybe 4 or 5. Did you have how many
well it was
did you have?
It was Sard, Williams, and someone else that wasn't
no Walsh, was there?
No Walsh. It was
and we didn't have Steele. They just had Sinclair there.
Yeah.
That's how much people know about some of the clubs.
Yes.
But yeah, I agree in that. I think that's probably, it's like a strength and a weakness for us, having no stars or 1 star, really. But we've got the potential to fast track that and suddenly have 3 or 4 in a year, which people don't look at. Like Gresham's played only 12 games in 2 years. He's only 24. He's a very good forward. He's a very good mid. He could easily be A grade. You've got someone like Jack Higgins, Max King. There's another 2 there already. There's Rowan Marshall could be an A grade ruck.
For sure.
And then there's unproven players like Sharman that has come in and he looks really good and natural, but give him a couple of years, you don't know where he's going to be. So for me, I don't always get excited about our best 22. It's very much what's to come in the next 2 to 3 years, like Burns, Connolly, Sharman, Marshall, these sort of guys as well that are yet to hit their peak. And I think that's probably where most of the analysts kind of assess our squad, is that we've got Steele and then there's a big bulk of pretty good players. Some of them could become stars or they couldn't, or they may not. So that's kind of where St Kilda is at the moment. If they take the next step, like Hunter Clark, for example, if he takes the next step, does the club take the next step? We don't know yet. So we're kind of hoping on these sort of guys to have a big year.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a bit about some of the players that you're expecting to have a big year from. Like you mentioned, the big names in terms of Steele, King, and Marshall, and like I'm very well versed in who they are. But maybe for the listeners on this side of things, who are some of the names you mentioned? Cooper Sharma, but who are some of the names that we may not be talking so much about right now, but by the end of the season they might take that next step? Who are you guys looking at from your end?
I mean, I know. I'm expecting Ryan Burns to have a massive year. I've already mentioned him a few times, but when you watch him, like there was a passage even in the intra club where he was at a contest, got the ball, handballed it off. Zach Jones went straight into him on the boundary line, like completely poleaxed him. And even Jonesy looked a bit sore. Burnsy just got straight back up, went straight to the next contest, hit the ball hard, got hit again, and kept going. And that's the sort of player that he's turning into. He's got elite endurance. He doesn't stop running. And he's very good kick. And I think he's only probably 2021, and also very good overhead. So for a guy his size, he plays bigger than that. And I really like guys like that. It kind of reminds me of when I used to play footy. It's like, you got to play bigger than you are. You're not that big, So he makes do with what he's got. And I think he's the player that's looking at someone like Seb Ross and thinking, mate, if you don't play a good couple of weeks, if he's not in the team already, that is, he's going to come knocking and potentially take that midfield spot because he can play on the wing, play in the middle. It doesn't really matter. On top of that, someone like Ben Patton, who we missed dearly last year. He was our best back pocket in 2020. He was one of the big reasons why we kind of took that step forward and beat a lot of good teams with a lot of good smalls was Pato. And he broke his leg in, pretty unlucky circumstances, roughy tackling him in training and doing it. And then probably the one I'm most optimistic about would have to be Cooper Sharman. I mean, his last 4 weeks were just crazy. Like, he has 4 or 5 kicks a game. He's kicking 3 goals. He's a light frame, but he's kind of like Gunston in a way. You can kind of liken him to that, where he's not the biggest body, but he gets into the right spots. And it's not a big numbers game for him. He'll probably have 6-7 disposals, but he may kick 2 or 3 goals a week. And I think he kind of supports Kingy pretty well and takes that pressure off him to kick big bags every week. So those would be the main 3, I reckon, that I'm pretty keen on.
Love it. That's great to know. They might come in handy for the fantasy heads out there as well. Sounds like you've named
Sharman could be a bargain. I don't know what his pricing would be on Supercoach, but could be a good get. Yeah,
I love that. Well, mate, listen, it's been great to chat with you. I'm hoping we get to do it again when the real stuff happens. We can, I don't know, I guess there'll be a bit more meat to the season next time we chat.
There would be, yeah. Right now it's like based on what? Training and an intra-club where you don't know how hard they're really going, so...
Yeah, exactly right. Well, Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Are you going to be there?
I am going to be there. You going to be there?
I'll be there, mate.
Yeah, all the Carlton fans are going to get out. Big crowd.
You should come and stand next to us.
Where are you going to be?
Come and get amongst it, mate. I'll be wherever the vibes are at.
Let's hope it's not like a few years back when Brucey kicked 6.
Well, we hope not. Thanks for the reminder. I think.
No, that's
no, looking forward to it, mate. Good luck for the season for the Saints and obviously for the channel as well. We're just out here trailblazing the path for the next generation, mate. It's been a pleasure to watch your growth and on your side, and looking forward to just etching a few more memories in this internet world.
Absolutely, mate. Thanks for the chat, and yeah, good luck Thursday and for the year as well.
Thanks, mate.